All right, everybody, welcome back to Modern Financial Wellness, the podcast dedicated to helping you feel better about your finances. I am joined today by my friend, Ashley Quamme. Ashley, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Jim, good to be here.
So we're going to talk a lot about who you are and what you do, and our partnership here in a minute. But just wanted to let everybody know that this episode is a little bit different. So we're not doing a deep dive into a particular topic or necessarily exploring, the expertise or journey of a particular professional. Although Ashley, again, is going to tell us about who she is and what she does here with the practice. But we are announcing here at the beginning of 2026 the launch of Modern Financial Wellness as my new flat fee financial planning firm. So not just a podcast. Yeah, thank you. Applause. Appreciate it. So this is kind of coincidentally the first time that we're publicly talking about the fact that it's not just a podcast anymore, but Modern Financial Wellness is now the name of the new firm. So we're excited for that. We, again, coincidentally have Ashley here as we talk about launching the new firm into 2026. And Ashley has been a guest on the podcast. We've introduced her in the past as a financial therapist. And Ashley is now the outsourced chief behavioral officer of Modern Financial Wellness. And I'm super excited about that. That sounds like a lot of words, though, Ashley. So what I'm hoping to do today is just like, what did I just say? What does that mean? What is an outsourced chief behavioral officer? And I'm hoping that people kind of come away with an understanding of the different types of resources that are out there, in addition to just the traditional investment management, financial planning, all those comprehensive things that they come to expect. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we could talk maybe about what's the OCBO all about?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it. A little bit about my background. So my home discipline from an education standpoint, professional standpoint, is in marriage and family therapy. So prior to working and living now in the finance space, I've been practicing as a licensed marriage and family therapist for about 15 years, focusing primarily on couples and family. So that is the space. I had my own private practice, turned into a group practice, supervising and directing clinicians. And so that part of my life, that part of my work, has just deeply informed the work that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I share that just from understanding the world and framework, skills, mindset, like that I'm coming from. It is from the couples and family arena. I was introduced or got turned on to financial therapy in 2019-ish, so just before COVID. And some of that was out of working with a lot of couples where money just showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed up in a way that it wasn't about the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It was more about the relationship with money, the differences in how each partner views money, relates to it. And so I didn't really have the tools to know how to navigate that, and went into Google.
I was kind of curious at that point, 2019, financial therapy is such a new thing, essentially, it makes a lot of sense to me now. But in 2019, were there a lot of financial therapists, or was this kind of just a burgeoning part of the field?
No, it was very new, and still is actually. It is still considered just in its infancy
Mm-hmm.
stage. It's been around since maybe 2010, 2008, 2010 ish time frame. So we're talking like 15 years here, maybe a little more, give or take, right?
Yeah.
Now there has been research, in the financial psychology field, understanding the psychology from like a, behavioral economics like place. But when it comes to working from a clinical, like therapeutic standpoint, yeah, like financial therapy is newer.
Mm-hmm.
It is newer. And so, yeah, there was the Financial Therapy Association, which is where I found resources. There is a few universities who had, some content and some studies, some classes there, but really new, Jim.
Hmm. Hmm.
Really new, and still is. Most people that I talk to have never heard of it. That's
Right.
both in the finance side, on the mental health side, and even just on the client end as well.
I hear it as well when I
Yeah,
talk to clients about what we do and how we do it and some of the resources that we have on the team, such as yourself. I get the what's a financial therapist, or I didn't even know that that was a thing, right?
yeah.
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 Yeah, and I love it. I actually kind of like that because it's an opportunity to share, like, what is it? And
Hmm.
so just from, those that are listening that might be like, okay, well, yeah, like, what is it?
Hmm.
Financial therapy is really centered around understanding why it is that you think, feel, and do money the way that you do. Where do those thoughts come from? Where do those feelings come from? Where do the behaviors in terms of how you engage with money,
Hmm.
or don't engage? How do you spend, save, invest, take risks? All of those things.
Hmm.
And so it's really understanding just the mindset, so the thoughts that are behind it, the feelings that are behind it, and in turn shaping that relationship overall with it there. So
Yeah.
that's a very like high level, just kind of definition there.
Well, I
Uh,
think it's a perfect description. I couldn't have done it better myself. And I love the way that you put that to reiterate think, feel, and do money.
mhm.
I think a lot of people could benefit from thinking about all of those things. What are our mindsets, attitudes, beliefs? Where do we come from? How do we think and feel about money? And how is that impacting our behavior? It's something that we all have to deal with, which is why I've always been excited to get to know you and work with you collaboratively, and why I'm so excited that you're an official part of the practice moving forward and an official resource. So, what one thing I wanted to make clear is that what we do as a financial planning practice and the work that we do with clients is not financial therapy.
Correct.
Correct? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think there still is, rightly or wrongly, there's this connotation with the word, right? That might be a little off putting to people. And I know, sometimes even when I introduce a financial therapist as a resource, I think I get a little, I don't need therapy type
Yeah,
of response, right? So can we
I
talk
get
about
it.
what that line might look like?
Yeah. So and this is, I would say this is coming from me. This is how I define things, how I talk about things.
Hmm.
You might, those that are listening, if you do some research or looking into, there might be other financial therapists or folks that describe it or have a different viewpoint, I would say. But
Hmm.
when I look at, therapy, when I look at financial therapy, even like we're looking at, I'll take therapy specifically. Mental health therapists are there to help clients, and the work there is centered around oftentimes diagnoses, treatment. So treating maybe a quote unquote diagnosis like anxiety disorder or depression. And sometimes that's even in the couples context, if you will. It is longer term focused.
Hmm.
And oftentimes there's just other elements there around the approach. Taking a more what I might call psychotherapeutic approach, like looking backwards, trying to heal, like words like healing wounds or healing certain parts of ourselves, dealing with trauma. Like
Hmm.
those are all things that come up like from therapy, and that's great. The work though that like I am doing, that you and I do, I describe the role as it is an outsourced chief behavioral officer, but it functions more around like a financial behavior specialist. Like I'm
Hmm.
not doing therapy per se. I'm looking at the financial behaviors and understanding them from a more solution focused type of lens. So, what is like the problem
Hmm.
that we're dealing with? Is it that a couple is not aligned and on the same page? If that is, then okay, what can we do maybe short term? And it's maybe coaching them through a few exercises that they can try. For a client who might have difficulty spending in retirement. Maybe there's not a need to spend more, but maybe there is. And can we
Hmm.
understand what some of those barriers are and maybe what's ideal for them.
Right.
The work that we do is I'm not looking at old wounds. I might know about them or hear about them and the context is helpful, but I'm not going back and trying to heal that or attune to um, even things like ADHD. Like it's helpful
Hmm.
to understand, but I'm not treating that necessarily in the relationship. That is more, therapeutic therapy
Right.
type of work that is not the work that we do. It's sometimes it gets equated to more of like coaching,
Right.
if you will, coaching or like consultation,
Hmm.
kind of brief oriented,
Yeah.
very hyper focused work.
And I like that description a lot. I've heard therapy described as looking backwards and unpacking some of those old wounds and going very much back in time to try to, figure out, which can be really informative for the work that we do when we're aware of some of those things that have happened in the past. But to your point, I think what our objective is to try to move for people forward financially, right? What
Mhm.
is the solution? And how do we understand what may have happened in the past and how that's impacting today, and what do we do today to start moving forward? Because that's ultimately what clients are coming to us for, is solutions to their financial problems. They just don't know, or maybe they do. Some people do, or they're pretty self-aware, but I think a lot of people don't understand how sometimes those our thoughts, attitudes, beliefs about money are holding them back, creating roadblocks that are keeping them from the solutions that they're all ultimately looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the last thing there is that, because of my background and expertise, there might be times when a client's past is really creating some barriers to moving forward with the financial plan,
Hmm.
or overall financial well-being. And so, in those instances, like I feel like my role is not to just ignore that. Like as a team, we don't want to ignore that, but it might mean connecting them to resources then,
Hmm. Hmm.
and saying, hey, like I'm getting the sense that, this thing might be getting in the way of you really moving forward. It kind of keeps showing up in this way. And would you be willing to look at some of these resources? So some of that role too might be like a triage, right? If you think
Right.
about like kind of triaging, it's okay, let's assess what's really going on. And then how can I connect you maybe to the appropriate resources
Hmm.
that can help address maybe in this instance some of the roadblocks.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of the clients that we work with, I think, are just regular busy folks that are doing pretty well in life. Just they're up to their eyeballs in life, is how I would describe it. And a
Yeah.
lot of that, sometimes that comes with a lot of stress and anxiety. That just having a resource as a financial planner, somebody you could delegate the responsibility of like the technical side of managing the day to day and having a process and having a plan. A lot of times we find that a lot of that stress and anxiety goes away just by doing that work. And then there are other times where, hey, we should be making some more progress here, but it feels like we're not really aligned, where we can maybe explore and figure out, to your point, is this something we're going to be able to help you with and coach you through and move you forward on, or can we get you in front of somebody who can, right, and really figure that out as quickly and efficiently, kind of get to that point where we're figuring out who's the best resource for you, all the while delivering the financial plan that a lot of clients, that's what they're coming for, is answers to their financial questions. Again, I just don't think that we realize how important and impactful understanding our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about money are, which is why it's so awesome and amazing to have you on the team. It's made a huge impact so far, so we appreciate you. um, So, those of you, I think some existing clients of the firm already know Ashley. If you're a client of the firm, you'll be getting to know Ashley in the coming weeks and months. And one of the things that I've asked, and or maybe twisted her arm into doing, was just make herself available to ask some questions, get some thoughts on the fly about what we're thinking and feeling. And since I don't know what we'll call this segment of the podcast, but I guess another announcement is this type of episode will be upcoming, where it's just Ashley and I kind of working through some different scenarios and things that are coming up, and hopefully it's helpful. And I'm thinking, because this is going to be released on or around January 1, I'm thinking about New Year's resolutions. So, Ashley, do you have New Year's resolutions typically? Is that something you entertain? If you were to have a resolution, what would it be? And then I can share my thoughts on what I'm thinking of at this time of the year, because it's chaotic and stressful. So I kind of want to pick your brain about moving into the new year and how to kind of reset and refresh.
Yeah. So no, I don't have New Year's resolutions. However, intentionally, my husband Clayton and I, we do have annually where we sit down, and it's usually before January 1. Sometime in December, amidst the craziness, we do sit down and look at over the next 12 months, where do we want to focus our time, energy, and financial resources?
I love that.
So it's not a resolution, but it is a focus area.
Hmm.
And so we'll look at things like, hey, vacations.
Hmm.
How many? What does that look like?
Right.
Can we go ahead and start to map out some of that? What do we need to do? We will look at our, contribution. So both Clayton and I are business owners. So like our taxes are, you know, business owners, a little bit
Straightforward.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, we'll look at even things like taxes. What can we expect? Contributions
So that,
to, 401ks. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say. So I promise we didn't script this, but my wife and I actually do a very similar thing. So I'm
Yeah.
very curious on what this looks like. So it sounds like this is a big life meeting, which is both financial and vacations. Where do we want to prioritize our time? Like, it's all
Yeah.
kind of one big. You're gonna commit some time to having this conversation, this big
It
planning
is.
meeting. Yeah.
It is a planning meeting, and it's a 1 year. Like, we look at the next 12 months, but then we also look at the next 3 to 5 years and what ages where will our kids be. So,
Wow.
my kids right now, they are 11 and 13. My daughter will be 12 here in March.
Hmm.
So they're 17 months apart. But for us, like going like for 2026, like our 3 and 5 years, like our kids will be driving.
Wow.
So it's now we're starting to think about vehicles, like insurance. Like what might that
Mm.
look like? We take this, 1, 3, and 5 year just kind of plan. And some of the 3 to 5 year stuff, it's like I don't really know, but like we do know that in 5 years, both will have four drivers. So okay, at least we know that,
Well, so
right?
that there's the financial component to that too, but I can't help but wonder how that makes you feel as a mom, right?
Good
That,
grief. Don't
like,
even
my
get me started.
my kids are 9 and 6. We don't have the 3 and 5 year uh, vision board on our meeting, so this is new and helpful for me. But I could think about, if my oldest is going to be 14, like, holy moly, like, I need to
Right?
prioritize some time with them right now, right? That's got
Yeah.
to put some other things in focus, not just
We
financially.
We do that. We do like the what's coming up, where will they be, stage of life, where will we be, maybe potentially professionally,
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I also use it not just from a number standpoint, but like thinking about, my son in 5 years will be 18. I don't, one, like that makes me want to crawl into the fetal position and just like cry. But I even think about things like, gosh, 18, like what do we need to start doing now in order to make sure that when he turns 18, like there's like life skills components. And so I have kind of a section where it's like conversations we need to be having with the kids. Like some of it's
Mm,
around, body changes,
mhm.
just other like tough conversations and some life skills. What do I want them to be doing by 18? I sure as heck want them to be able to do their own laundry by the time they're 18. So I think that we kind of take that 1, 3, and 5 year and just start trying to, and it's not always perfect, Jim. It isn't,
Oh, of
it is
course.
not, but at least we're like thinking about it, from all angles.
Right.
Or there. And then we map out what do we want to focus on in the next
Mhm.
12 months? What do we need to be doing in the first quarter?
Yep.
If we want to get there. So I don't do New Year's resolutions, but we do intentionally have areas of our life, or what things do we want to be focused on, again, from a time standpoint, energy,
Love it.
and financial
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah. Can I ask, because again, my wife and I do something very, very similar. What does it look like practically? Are you pulling out a whiteboard? Do you just have a notebook? Do you have, do you do any of this electronically? Because I have kind of a unique, just pen to paper and you're just putting it down. Yeah.
Pen to paper. Yeah, I have them for all the years going back to when we were first married,
Oh, awesome.
and did it. So that's actually really fun, because some of the things we thought we would have in like by certain time frames, I'm like, oh my gosh, we were ridiculous. Like, a second home, like what were we thinking? No, I'm just a pen and paper kind of
Mhm.
gal. I like writing it out. I think also from a psychology standpoint, like writing it out does something just from
Yeah.
from a brain standpoint. I will take pictures. We take pictures of it. I send it to both so that we have at least digital
Mhm.
versions in case I need to quickly
So you'll
pull
kind
up
of
or reference.
memorialize it. Yeah. Document it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my wife has ADHD, which I talk about a lot on the podcast. And so she's going to interpret information and process information a little bit differently than me. And one of the things that she came up with, which has been super, super helpful, we actually get one of those desk calendars from Staples where it's like month by month that used to sit on your desk. I don't know what people did with those, by the way. Did people keep their appointments and things like on their desk back in the
I don't
day?
know.
You know what
I
I'm
still
talking
have,
about?
yeah, I still have one, because I like seeing it and like writing out and
You
like
have
looking
your
at my
paper
month.
calendar and like your appointments and everything on your desk calendar?
Like big appointment, like a big doctor's appointment that gets
Got it.
scheduled
Got it.
out months and months. Like
Okay. Okay.
not the daily
All
ones,
right.
but like,
That's
yeah, big ones.
okay. Okay. So we get one of those. Anyway, sorry for the side route there. We get one of those and we rip those all off, and then we have a calendar view of the year, and we start to take sticky notes where we map out where our vacations, when are the school times off, and just start to write out all the different activities so we see what's happening. And it's super, super helpful to have something that you can see visually. And are you familiar with we kind of ripped this off from the Big Ass Calendar. I think it's literally called the
Yeah.
Big Ass Calendar. They sell these
Yeah.
things where you can kind of put it all up and use sticky notes and things to have a color coordinated vision of what the year looks like. But we find it super, super helpful. And over the last year, what we realized is we need to do one of those meetings in June. We need a mid-year review, because
Yes.
by the fall and the transition into school, everything's gone to hell, right? And plans have
Yes.
changed. And we weren't thinking as detailed as we needed to be about the end of the year. So I actually think it's a good idea to do these bigger conversations twice a year. And one of the things
I agree.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll take from our conversation today is that I don't think we spend enough time with that 3 or 5 year vision, or goals, or that kind of planning conversation. How old are the kids going to be? Where are we going to be in life? And what does that mean for today? I think that's a really
It
good
is.
addition to what we're up to. Yeah.
Well, and we're talking about being empty nesters, like not far from being empty nesters. And so from like a couple
Wow.
standpoint, you start looking at 3 to 5 years, like the 5 years, like Cam will be 18, Abby will be, 16, 17. Like we got to start having some different conversations and
Yeah.
thinking
Start
like,
playing tennis, pickleball. What are you
Go
guys going to?
I don't I tell you, I am not playing tennis. Maybe I'll take up pickleball. I don't know. The last thing I guess I would say kind of about this, Jim, is like, I know we're talking kind of New Year and like New Year's resolutions. But there is this, I kind of call it like fresh start psychology. And there are
Mhm.
certain times of the year where that sense of like renewal of like, okay, it's a fresh start.
Mhm.
There are they're like temporal landmarks, right? And so like we think about January, the beginning of the year. You mentioned like the start of the school year is one for a
Mhm.
lot of parents. Like we start, kind of planning. For some people, even like the quarter, like kind of like new quarter, but there are all the, or birthdays are a great one, or
Hmm.
anniversaries. Like there's a lot of these just like landmarks that land on us. New Year's is the most popular one,
Right.
that we start thinking about goals or like vision. And there's a science, right? Kind
Hmm.
of to that. It makes a lot of sense. And so some people who are just super like anti like New Year's resolution, like I guess I would encourage them to think about other I'll say landmarks like in their year, in their
Right.
calendar year, that might be helpful in terms of thinking about focus areas that they want to
Yep.
spend some time and attention to.
Yeah, and it's less for me. It's less about a resolution, which always has this like I'm gonna give something up. I'm gonna go on a diet or start working out more. That feels like a terrible time to try to change, big behaviors like that.
Yeah.
But to your point, thinking about it as a great opportunity to reflect on what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? What are your
Yeah.
big goals? What's meaningful to you? What's going to be important this year? At least having that conversation and a process or that you can kind of go through as a couple, I think is maybe the better, more impactful way to go about moving into a new year. So
Yeah,
that's
I
all
agree.
really good stuff. Cool. All right. So, again, moving forward, we're going to have Ashley back just to kind of kick around some ideas and hopefully learn together and figure all this stuff out. It's can be hard and challenging and overwhelming, and exciting and fun too. And we're all just human trying to do our best and figure things out. So we'll have Ashley back to have these types of conversations. So be on the lookout for that. And again, we don't have a name to this. Maybe it's Let's Ask Ashley or
Oh,
something.
no pressure. Oh gosh, no pressure.
Yeah, yeah. We'll come up with something more creative to call it, but we'll look forward to having you back. And again, we appreciate you being a resource and
Awesome.
happy new year.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. If you like the content that you hear on the episode, please consider subscribing wherever you're listening or watching to the episode. And again, Modern Financial Wellness is now a flat fee financial planning firm, RIA, not just a podcast. So please check out modernfinancialwellness.com and reach out. Let us know what you think and if we can help you out. And we'll look forward to seeing and talking to you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again for listening to this episode. A quick note, although I do hope that the information that we talked about was helpful, in no way is anything discussed on the podcast to be taken as specific financial advice. Please consult your own advisors and do your own research when you're making important financial decisions.